Come. What is up? We are 2 for 2 on football weekends. It's Altitude After Dark. It's your boys, Steve. Vic's got a little red. You know what, Vic? I am not letting you go. I'm not letting you do that alone. I am not letting you do that alone, Vic.
What do you got, Gatorade there, Coach?
A little water, a little H2O.
I don't know this. What, Vic? Break it down for me. What's this?
That looks like some Carlo Rossi shit. I don't know. Where'd you get that? Or 7-Eleven?
I think my wife might have got it at a 7-Eleven. We're staying at a hotel in Boulder, but I'm gonna cheer our Broncos and our Buffaloes. Cheers! Should we cheer? Should we do some cheers?
Cheers to everybody.
Cheers.
Why are you at a hotel in Boulder? Just curious.
Well, I was at Anderson Farms and a pumpkin patch with Rocky and Bernie. Hey, man, let me tell you. Easy, dude. We love Rocky and Bernie.
That sounds like a great weekend.
So
wow. Where do I sign up for that?
All right. Anyways.
Coach, are you next?
I don't know.
Had a great time. And then Kim, my wife's had a friend who's running the Boulder Marathon. And so we said, well, that's at 7:00 in the morning. And so, well, let's just stay in Boulder, right? But then I got to do all this stuff. So I was like, well, let's just say Sunday night too. So we just parked the car like 2 days ago. I don't even know where it is, but I took my bike, Vic. Hey, have you ever done Flagstaff? Have you ever biked Flagstaff?
Yeah, I did it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's very vertical. I did it once on what do you call those combo bikes? I did it with Reggie Rivers once on a combo bike for Peace we did. Yes.
Why?
Yes. Yeah, for a television thing we did. I had to stare at Reggie Rivers' ass for about 45 minutes straight up that
up the hill? You did that up Flagstaff Mountain?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Oh, dude. There's not enough tea in China. All right. Well, anyways, that's why I'm here, and I'm happy to be here. Had a couple of pops because I'm celebrating. I'm happy. I'm pumped about everything going on. I've got tons of sound, tons of video about everything, but let's get your overall thoughts. Coach, let's start with you.
A win is a win is a win. And right now, the decision to not get rid of Vance Joseph after the debacle in Miami is standing as the most important decision in modern Broncos history. Period.
Wow.
He has been phenomenal.
Vance Joseph is the MVP of this team. What he dials up works. I mean, that blitz he dialed up when PJ Lott got to Rodgers late was just beautiful. It was like a guy running the orchestra perfectly. I mean, everything about it. Vance Joseph has been phenomenal. I get it. Today was tough for offenses, but the run defense for the Denver Broncos has been superb. They lose Alex Singleton, their captain. They lose their green dot. They lose that guy, and they don't skip a beat, boys, at all. So I'm with you. You never apologize for a win. I don't care how you win. They're 2-2, and to be 2-2 at this phase of the season, you're darn skippy. That's good.
You're right. You're 100% right. And, and I think about even just the losses that this defense has accumulated starting in the offseason. I mean, Josie Jewell gone, Justin Simmons gone, Baron Browning out. I mean, indefinitely. Alex Singleton out for the year. And it's just showing that there is a chemistry, a culture on that side of the football. And I think that Vance Joseph's like almost failed tenure as a head coach, sometimes it does make you a better coach when you have that chance to go back and be a coordinator. You understand the all-22 so well. And I've been just so impressed with that unit all together. They're the best defense in the National Football League right now, guys. I mean, it
was funny that Sean Payton, though, was defending Bo Nix. And sort of, he always sticks up for his guy, Bo. Ain't no doubt about it.
Bo had -7 at half passing. Did you contribute that to the weather, and what was the key for him in the second half?
Yeah, I'm not interested in that. Yeah, you had to pay attention to the game, and you would say the weather was a factor, with the balls. But we'll look at the tape and try to improve on that.
What was the key to getting?
That's it. I mean,
but you never lost confidence.
Heck no.
What was the key?
At some point, we'll stop with the confidence. This kid is confident now. I should send him out to dinner with every one of you, and you'll see.
All right, who wants to go out to dinner with Bo Nix?
Hey, I'm in. Let's go.
Is he confident that Bo is confident? You know, the only thing I saw out of Bo, and he made the adjustments at the half, the rain stopped. But, Coach, you played the quarterback position, so you would know best. The way he was holding the ball, a wet ball, you know, everybody usually holds the ball up here, right? You hold the ball.
Yeah.
He was like holding it
The middle
here.
of it. He was
He was holding it here.
Yeah.
I
So I've been doing the coaching and playing of the quarterback position for the majority of my life. That was a first for me. Like watching the way he was gripping the ball, and then B, the sheer just body language dramatics about the towel. I have to have my towel right. And then he was adjusting his hand warmer, which has the towel inside of it, and then it snapped and he was freaking out. It was very, I had anxiety watching that first half of football. It was almost as if Bo had he's never been in a rain environment before.
Yeah.
And so the win is the win, and I'm fired up. I hadn't seen Bo look like, I'm talking rattled to a different degree of rattled, and allowing an external circumstance to dictate his on-field even presence. That was the first time I've seen that, and I didn't like it. All
right, let me ask you guys if you were the same as me. So I'm out watching my kid finish a marathon, which I'm very proud of. That's awesome. And I get back and yes, very good. And I'm looking at the stats and I'm like, Bo Nix is -7, but he's completed 5 passes. How is that possible? Help me out. And I'm sure it's happened before, but do you guys recall it? Do you 5 of 10 for -7, where every pass was 0 or minus yards?
Actually, halftime was 7 of 15 for -7. 7 of 15. 15 pass attempts, 10 rush attempts. They were averaging 5.3 per carry, and they had -7 yards in the air. So you do what you want with that. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it, probably because most of the passes were screens,
right?
Little dumps that just went backwards and didn't work. Is there concern that if there's a wet ball in the future, how will he handle that? Should he wear a glove? He looked completely uncomfortable. Now, to be fair, Aaron Rodgers looked like ass too. And he's been around a long time.
I disagree with that take. I think Aaron Rodgers looked like absolute ass because of the way that the pass rush was applied to him. When he had a clean pocket, did you guys see that field hole shot that he threw to down the right sideline? Like, if that's not a wet environment, that's like an elite throw. He was getting, this was elderly abuse for 60 minutes of football. How do
you explain? Wait, hold on, Coach. How do you explain Aaron Rodgers in the final 2 series? He threw 2 passes that were nowhere near the receivers. I mean, they were terrible throws that took his team completely out of whack.
The thing that's so unique about Aaron Rodgers is he's an offensive coordinator. He is the play caller. When he has it the way he wants it, which he does with his puppet, Nathaniel Hackett, he is running that offense. And then I think there's times where if you haven't played with him for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, the only guy that really has is Alan Lazard. And then I think Randall Cobb as well. Those guys are not on the same page as him, in terms of the way that the routes need to be broken off versus certain coverages. He was throwing a ball on like more of a skinny type post. And I can't remember the receiver that ended up like taking a sharp dig type cut, and the ball just looked like he was throwing it to nobody. Aaron Rodgers, man. I mean, they got some issues there in New York, guys. There's some major issues.
I'm willing to write off this game from the passer's perspective because of the elements. I'm just going to say, you know what? It's like one of those when you go play golf and it's extremely windy and you're like, yeah, whatever. We all suck because the wind is blowing. It's just one of those days. So I'm not going to sit here and throw darts at Bo Nix. It's just they won the game. They did what they had to do. They scored 1 more point than the Jets. Game over.
All right, here is Aaron Rodgers afterwards.
The cadence specifically, Robert said that might be something you guys have to dial back a little bit. Is that something you think could potentially help the situation?
It's one way to do it. The other way is hold them accountable. I mean, we haven't had an issue. We've had 1 false start. Morgan had 1 false start, I believe, until this. So, it's been a weapon. We use it every day in practice. We rarely have a false start. And to have, 5 today, it seemed like 4 or 5. Yeah, it seems like an outlier. I don't know if we need to make mass changes based on, kind of an outlier game.
All right. I love it. Go get him, Aaron.
I'm so here.
Publicly rip your offensive line. I think that's awesome.
No, and he publicly is ripping Robert Saleh, more importantly, by saying, hey, how about we hold somebody accountable? That's one way to do it. This is going to be front page fodder for the New York Post, and they just love it. They're so excited to have that in New York City. Just more drama with the Jets organization.
But you know what? Even he called it an outlier game because that's exactly what it was. That's the elements made it an outlier game. For all of the weather apps that we have in this world, all the meteorologists, all the weather, they prepare for this weeks, days in advance. I mean, you don't think the coaches have staff like getting ready for whatever the weather gives you, and they were all surprised by it. And that's what happens when a hurricane rolls through the country. You never know what's going to happen weather-wise.
You're right.
Bo Nix on his confidence in the second half.
At that point, it didn't matter if the weather cleared up. I had to go out there and contribute and be efficient and do, find ways to get us in the end zone, find ways to win the game at that point. We're talking on the sidelines. It's not going to be a picture-perfect game when the weather's like that and, they have a good defense. You're going to go out there and it's going to be, a tough game. You're going to have some grit and, some discipline, some toughness there at the end to pull those out, and that's what we did. But confidence was there. We just had to find a way to, make it work. And sometimes you just got to do just that.
Bo Nix looked at that Tebow Chiefs game and said, hold my beer. 60 passing yards, Vic. 6-0.
Again,
they won.
I'm willing to give him grace for the elements. We'll see. If you told me it was 60 passing yards on a beautiful day, then we'd have some problems. But as long as you win and as long as you know why you win, the reason the Broncos are winning is because their defense is elite. It's an elite defense. So the offense, don't make mistakes. For the second straight week, Bo Nix does not get sacked. Think about that. I saw a stat. The last time that happened, I've got it right here. Somebody had it on the internet. The last time that the Broncos have given 2 consecutive games without a sack was the 2016 season.
Wow.
2016 is the last time they went consecutive games without giving up a sack. That's a big deal. That it really is. I mean, you keep them upright. You don't give the ball to the other team. I know they did once on that Bidet fumble, but other than that, they're doing exactly what they need to do to win. They're trusting their defense.
Hey guys, I've been bumping around a little bit tonight. Do we have an update on Bidet? Do we know anything?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
What do you know?
He is moving his extremities, and from the sound of things, it's not as bad as it looked when they carried him off on that stretcher because that looked really bad.
Well,
we want to go
ahead.
to. Sorry about Bidet.
No.
Supposedly, the quote that's I guess been not. It's an anonymous quote from inside the franchise is that he's okay, is what I've heard. Okay.
Because Sean got kind of snippy with our own Jeff Legwold at the end of the press conference about the injuries and what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure.
Making sure what? I said, I'm not.
Just giving you opportunity.
No, I don't need an opportunity at my press conference. I'm good. I don't want to discuss injury.
I
Is
just
that
want
okay?
to see if he's going on the plane.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right.
We'll see. Is that fair?
More than fair.
All right, we'll see. Anything else? Thank you. Hey, Sean.
Did you win?
I don't understand. I'm going to try to hold my composure for a second. Hold on. Give me a couple beats because it's the first time I've seen that.
Woosa.
Hold on. The fuck are you doing, man? A guy's on his back on a stretcher and he's badly hurt. The reporter just wants to know if the guy's going to be all right. You don't have to be an ass because he's asking if the dude who looks to be extremely injured is going to be all right.
Oh, by the way, that is not some kid from Sco Buffs from Mom's Basement covering Deion Sanders. That's Jeff Legwold from ESPN.
What are we doing? What's the reason for that snippiness there? Help me out, Coach. I know you've had to do with press conferences before.
There's got to be some type of behind the scenes stuff that we don't know. It's the only thing I can understand. I mean, some of the question the line of questioning from Leggy is not even remotely out of the realm of normal, right? Like I could speak on my own behalf. I was watching the first half of the game and I didn't watch it with sound because I was at my son's football game. So I was just watching it. And the imagery of Bidet on the sideline was downright scary. And so I spent the next 2 hours searching my Twitter machine with Tyler Bidet just to see if I could get an update. Like I was concerned as a fan, just as a human being.
Empathy is all you need. And somebody makes the point here on some of the comments. Maybe he was saving it for the family, to know first. That's fine. That's fine. I get it. You want the family to know first. You still don't have to react like that for a question that is in regard to a player's injury. It's just a simple little exchange. That's all it is.
I didn't see that. I'm glad you brought that one up. I have another stat for you, Vic. You had a really good one about the 2 sacks, 2 games in a row with not a sack that Bo Nix has taken. And also, he hasn't turned the football over. So Bo Nix in these 2 wins has played, I think, complimentary football based off of how well this defense is playing. But my stat that I want to get to is that Bo Nix is the first quarterback in the Super Bowl era to win a game in which he averaged fewer than 2.5 yards per pass attempt.
That's amazing.
Incredible.
That's incredible.
Not making mistakes, and it's a testament to this defense.
Bo talked about playing in the rain.
Yeah, well, I mean, when it rains like that,
Go, Bo.
that,
Come on.
long period.
Oh, there he goes. It's happening. Trust me.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, when it rains like that for that, long period of time, it's hard to kind of, I guess, get, new drive footballs out there, but that's how it's going to be. They were having to do the same thing. Usually these weather games, they turn into, run the football games, and that's what we did in the second half. So it worked in our favor, and we didn't turn the ball over. We, kept throwing completions on first and second down, and then we got a few third down completions, one being the in cut to Court there, in the third quarter, which was huge. So we threw the ball when we had to, and we made some connections when we had to, and that was, the difference in the game.
Yeah, but you
Okay, reaction to that?
Listen, I get it. Throwing a wet football is hard. Even John Elway, the great Hall of Famer, had issues in the rain throwing a wet football. They got to figure that out in case it happens again, because you know what's going to happen in December in Denver? It's not going to be wet, but it's going to be extremely cold. And throwing a very cold football is almost just as hard as throwing a wet football sometimes. So let's hope that they fix whatever is hurting him there with gripping that football. At the end of the day, the Broncos averaged twice as many yards rushing the football than they did throwing the football. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. Javonte Williams was, guys, the Javonte hubbub about is he done? 77 yards on 16 carries, pretty darn good. And Jaleel running behind him, pretty darn good. They each averaged 5 yards a tilt. You'll take 5 yards a carry all day long, every day.
Yeah, Javonte was happy with his big.
Yeah, I mean, it was huge just getting back out there, feeling the same, feeling like old days. And I mean, anything I can do to help the team, that's always what I'm trying to do. So, yeah, it was good.
All right, Coach, what about Javonte?
He looked like quote unquote old days. that was impressive. And I've been right there in the driver's seat of saying that Javonte has not looked adequate as RB1 in the National Football League. And he proved so many doubters wrong. And I think it's a great thing because Javonte Williams is a really likable person. His story's been challenging in coming back from his injury. But I just loved his performance. And I love Jaleel McLaughlin's performance. I think he's been a player that I've had so much respect for, the way he goes about his preparation and training camp on a daily basis. I mean, Vic, how many times did you see Jaleel McLaughlin putting in just an incredible amount of extra work before practice? He's just such an impressive dude.
There was a play, and I want to get your thoughts on that because during the game, I said, what are you doing here? There was a play where they threw the ball. It was 4th down, and they were in just across midfield. They were in New York Jets territory, and they were running the ball pretty well, and they decided to go deep, and it was just over the outstretched arms of the intended target. But I said to myself, I don't care if they stack the box. You are averaging 5 yards a carry. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Thoughts, Coach? I mean, am I off base here?
No, when you get to halftime and the stats are just heavily leaning in the running success, running efficiency department for the Broncos offense. But yet I believe at halftime, was it 15 pass attempts and 10 runs?
Yes.
Is that right at halftime?
Yes. Yes.
Vic, as a Notre Dame fan, do you remember when we played at NC State in an actual hurricane?
I do remember. That was crazy.
I was coaching in that game, and I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus today, but it was very sternly communicated that we need to continue to throw the football.
I couldn't believe it when I was watching it from my living room.
And I was like on the headset screaming, like, this is coaching malpractice. This is not safe. What are we doing? DMac, I don't know if you remember this game, but the ball was actually floating on the field because there was so much standing water on the field. And
so today was the day the Broncos decided to throw the ball down the field. Today was the day. Because how many times do they do that?
But it's kind of been that way. Think about back to the Seahawks game. Even the beginning of the Steelers game, you're like, why are there so many pass attempts? It's almost as if Sean Payton as a play caller, and I've been in this place before, that you believe in your guy, you believe in your quarterback, and you hold the keys to the Ferrari, and you want to just make sure you rev it up and do everything in your power to make sure that Ferrari is driving the way that you paid for it to drive. And I think that's what's going on with the play selection to get Bo Nix in rhythm, to prove to everybody that he is exactly who I think he is, and he's everything that you don't think he is.
Hey,
well, again, go ahead, Vic. Go ahead.
The opening series of the game, when the Broncos recovered the fumble and they've got the ball right there already in field goal range, what are we doing? What are we doing? Points are at a premium. What are we doing? Take the 3 points. Take the profit. Field goal. You get nothing out of that drive. So I think they got a little too fancy. I don't know what the term would be, but listen, the best kind of criticism is criticism waged after a win. Broncos win.
Right.
Any scrutiny after a win is good scrutiny. Trust me. We've seen this before. We'll get to it when we talk to you a little bit later. People get upset if you scrutinize after a win, but this is good scrutiny. There were a couple occasions where I thought they could have made different decisions. It should not have been that close.
Hey, real quick, we're either the two of you before we transitioned to CU, but were you physically present for the fourth quarter against Baylor, CU versus Baylor?
I was watching on TV.
I was watching on my phone.
Okay. That was rain, fellas, right? Was that rain?
Yeah.
Okay, so today in East Rutherford, that was rain in the first half, correct?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. But the Broncos should have been prepared because, well, they had this. They had a little bit of. Thanks to our friends at DNVR for that video right there. So Troy Rank, this is great. I was talking to a muggle behind the scenes. I won't rat out his name. But a highly respected one, does not live in his mom's basement, writes for an established publication company. And he said, here's what Sean Payton does. He will just repeat the same things over and over and over and over again until, if they're not true, they sound like they're true. Mm-hmm. And he's doing that with Bo Nix. And this is hysterical. When Troy Rank calls the trip to Greenbrier an excursion, and watch Sean Payton just get beside himself with the word excursion being.
What did you learn about your team? You had said you want to see what you're going to learn on this excursion.
No, I said, hey, look, it wasn't an excursion. It was, but this is something a lot of teams do. It was the first time you guys have been a part of it, but this isn't unusual. It makes a lot of sense. I felt like, look, it had a chance to be a pivotal point in the season. We're early in the season, but you find out a little bit about everyone, all of us. You find out a little bit about your grit and toughness, and you're going to go on the road and play Tampa. They're 2-0 at the time. You're going to play a Jet team that obviously is playing good football. You go into some tough environments, and you get on a plane tonight, and you get back home at 2-2. That's important.
All right. Was it worth it?
Yes.
They won the game. He can say whatever he wants about.
It was DMac.
How much is a win worth? I mean, he can look at the ownership and say, how much is a win on the road worth? When's the last time the Broncos have won 2 11 a.m. East Coast kickoff games? I mean, so you could say whatever you want. You can criticize. You could say what a waste of money and time. They won the game. So proof is in the pudding, baby.
It absolutely is. I mean, DMac, you were so excited. I know it. You were so excited to just to just shovel the dirt on the 6 feet deep Sean
Can't
Payton
do it.
experience.
Can't do it.
Was a success. And you just, at the end of the day, fellas, it always comes down to this as a coach, man. Did you win or did you lose? And Sean Payton won both these games. And it's, to me, tip the cap. It's a big tip of the cap. And where I think it did impact this football team, you know, you hear the words like grit. Coaches, we love using all these terms, you know, talk about our culture and that, this, that, and the other. But there was a different, I thought there was a different level of speed by which, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, both against Tampa, who's proved again today that they're pretty dang good on the offensive side of the ball. I think that it was a good plan to optimize. He talked about sleep. I agree with that. He talked about adapting to the East Coast time zone. I agree with that. I think you were able to get the right type of, you know, hydration, nutrition, because you're not spending all the time flying back and forth. I think it was a big success. I really do. And I've been critical of some aspects of Sean Payton. This one, I won't be even remotely critical because he got 2 dubs.
You know what's interesting? He's a little feisty about certain things. Like, doesn't want to talk about the injury. Very protective of Bo. Then he didn't want to tell anybody who he gave the game balls to after the game. It was weird watching the press conference. Like, you guys did win, right? Like, we won this game, but here was his response about game balls. And you can see the criticism. And by the way, it was Parker Gabriel of the Denver Post who wrote an article on Friday that came out, $2 million, how much time it took. Chip Conway and Coach Vic knows. Chip has been the long time. Vic, seriously, how long has Chip been there? I mean, 40 years?
Man, I mean, he's been there maybe over 30 years.
Yeah, something like that. So here was Sean, like, on that. It was bugging him. You could tell it was
We'll announce those. We don't really announce them, really. I don't know if you guys are. Yeah, I'm not interested in announcing the game balls. We gave one to our support, you know, Chip, who wrote the fabulous article on Chip. And so I said, man, was that or we're waiting for a sequel? I said, I felt like that it was the Bruce Springsteen tour with the pounds of rice. So I gave Chip a hard time, but everyone in the operations got a game ball. The millions of dollars. We combined 2 trips. Anyway, I appreciated the article, but I gave Chip a hard time about it. Anyway, so everyone in operations, there's a lot of work. All right. Now, it's not the Ringling Brothers or Springsteen tour, but there's a lot of people that put in a lot of work, and it was worth it.
Guys, guess what? They play Philly and Washington next year. Sean's already been talking about preparing at the Brier again for next year. Also,
hey DMac, you have
some people, hold on. All right, what?
You have no room to criticize him. He won both games. He won today.
He won both games.
You got to back off on this, man. Had he lost and then you got room for criticism.
They threw for 60 yards, Vic.
They won the game.
That's the intent of a trip. You call it a business trip.
Okay. On a business, do you take your wife on a business trip?
Why do you care? But let me ask you, why do you care that he spends a very wealthy owner's money to go to the Greenbrier? Why is this such a point of contention?
I don't care. They won the game. I don't care. I just think I think it's an interesting reflection that Sean Payton will just repeatedly say things over and over again, whether they're true or not, to sort of prove his point. That's all.
Okay.
Hey, listen, right. They won. Real
quick. He did have a very good point. You know, Parker Gabriel's an awesome dude. I've gotten to know him a little bit, but there is an incredible expense in having back-to-back East Coast trips when you're chartering a flight. So that's 4 legs of back-to-back flights, right? That's a lot of chartering. It would have been extremely expensive either way. I mean, that's just the way that it goes.
They flew to Tampa. They flew to West Virginia. They flew to New Jersey. They flew to Denver. What's the difference between that and flying to Tampa, flying to Denver, flying to Jersey, flying to Denver? 4 flights is 4 flights, bro.
I know this because I've had to make budget decisions for a university. The difference in those types of flights, it's all jet fuel. That's all. It's all predicated on jet fuel.
about that. We'll get to that in a second. My bad. Slippy fingers there. Sorry about that. All right, listen, they won. I'm shutting up. They won. They won.
Can I say one more thing? I started a point and I got cut off by one of your videos. You're on a video rampage today. We can't just have a good conversation. But anyway, okay.
Wow.
Say, man, I'm just talking. We went back to that game, Boulder, CU. Okay, watching Rain and Shedeur Sanders in Rain. Okay, then you saw Rain today and Bo Nix in Rain. I look at body language. I look at demeanor. Did Shedeur Sanders even remotely show any type of concern that it was pouring ass rain and he was down by 2 scores? Or did he just go out there and grip it and rip it and throw the ball all over the ballpark? That, to me, was the only downside of today's victory.
I'll take it a step further. I think Shedeur Sanders is a better quarterback right now than Bo Nix. If you put Shedeur Sanders in the Broncos' backfield, the Broncos would be better than Bo Nix right now. So not even next year.
I don't know that Shedeur and Sean, because Shedeur's game is a lot of it's predicated on the second play, on the creativity of extending a play and allowing for his guys to get loose on the second play. And that's what clearly Sean was not a fan of Russ doing. But I think Shedeur's going to end up being a Jaden Daniels type impact player as a rookie. I really do.
Okay, let's get to this the CU game. And we'll have plenty of time to chop up the Broncos game. Hey, they won. All right, really quick on the Broncos. Were they lucky or did they earn it today?
I mean, I don't see anything lucky. I mean, if anything, both kickers missed 50-yard field goals. So for people to say, wow, they're lucky, the guy missed a kick. Well, Lutz missed a kick too. The ball is slippery for both sides. There was nothing lucky about it. They beat them.
They had the ball. They had the ball in their possession with less than 4 minutes to go, and they went 3 and out. They needed like 2 or 3 first downs with less than 4. They needed 1 first down with less than 2, and they couldn't get it. But they're not lucky. They earned it. Just checking.
They absolutely earned it, and here's why. To win games on the road, and especially in either a hostile environment or an adverse weather climate type day, defense, run the football. That's how you win games on the road. And those 2 things showed up for the Broncos. Not lucky. It was a well-executed game by the Broncos. Yeah.
All right, let's give some props to Dion. That was the best CU game I have seen in, I don't know, maybe ever.
Forever.
I mean, I'm telling you, it was 60 minutes of football. It was great in all 3 departments. It was well planned. It was smart to go in there on Wednesday. It wasn't gratuitous. It was smart to go in there to be prepared. I really haven't seen CU play like that. Guys, seriously, I can't remember the last time, Vic. Help me.
CU coaches outcoached the Central Florida coaches. That's one thing that stuck out. They outcoached them. The game plan was better. The passing game, the run game. You know, it's funny because all week long we heard about how's CU going to stop the Central Florida run? Well, how'd Central Florida do against the CU run? CU ran the ball really well. I thought CU's game plan was superb. Shout out to Prime, Shermer, Livingston, everybody, man. That was the most complete CU win under Deion Sanders since he showed up at the door.
I completely agree, Vic. And I think you said it perfectly. The only thing I'll add to that is that Gus Malzahn is most people would consider him a top 10 name in the college coaching industry. And for Coach Prime to do it, not just against some, first-time head coach, but a guy who's done it at the highest level and won at the highest level to the tune of a national championship and had a team that was, by all accounts, kind of cooking coming into this game. It was so impressive. That was the best performance that I've seen coaching by far, in Boulder since I've followed the program.
I know I've gone on a video rampage. Can I play one piece of video? Is that okay, Mike?
I love videos.
Am I all right?
We don't care about that. Y'all do. We underdogs every week. Ain't nobody want to see us win. You know that, except for our fan base. You know my brother Ryan, right? Yeah. Life in football, they ride with us, but ain't nobody nationally want to see us get down. So hold on. I want to say, let me finish blessing her. That's just the nature of the game. We're not mad about it. We're not upset about it. We know who we are. We know how we get down. It's not like we come out talking that talk, because we don't really do that. You say we do that, but we really don't do that. Our kids are very humble.
Did he really say, let me finish blessing her by answering the question?
I loved it. I love it.
Well, he gets to do it. He gets to do it.
I was actually impressed with Prime after the game.
I was too.
I thought he handled the press conference
I agree.
with some humility. And that's all I say. Man, show some humility once in a while. And he did. I thought his players showed up. And listen, we all thought the same thing. After the opening offensive series for CU, where they went backwards, tell me you weren't thinking, this is the Nebraska game all over again, right? You were thinking that. And then they just flipped the switch and they started moving the ball at will. And Shedeur did some things to open pockets up. That pass that he had down the middle of the field, who caught that again? Who was it that caught it right at the goal line?
Was that not Travis Hunter? Oh, Will Shepard.
Horn.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was Shepard.
That was a phenomenal catch and a phenomenal throw. And listen, man, when you have Shedeur Sanders, you have a chance. That's just the way I look at it.
Yeah,
every game. Yeah, I think it was just an impressive overall performance, and to do it at UCF. What I loved is that just the overall, like all three phases playing complementary to each other to build a lead and then continue to run the ball, mixing in, staying aggressive, throwing the ball, because you have Shedeur Sanders that just flat out doesn't turn the ball over very often, which is the most impressive aspect to me about a guy that is so dynamic as a passer. A lot of those guys like Cam Ward, he turns the ball over. He was responsible for 3 turnovers in a game that Miami should have dominated against Virginia Tech. But I've just been so impressed by it because they forced a quarterback that is not comfortable playing from behind to have to try to throw the football to win.
And I had one more element to this is Vegas doesn't mess up like this too often. Vegas doesn't miss on point spreads, and they miss badly. And as I looked at that point spread all week long, I said it on the radio on Friday. I said, I don't think I believe in this point spread. I'm looking at Central Florida's record. I'm looking at who they've beaten. They beat TCU in come from behind fashion. And a week later, TCU gives up like 60 to SMU. What right does Central Florida have to be a 2 touchdown plus fate? What have they done? Who have they beaten? I never understood.
Because I was looking at their wins over New Hampshire and TCU, who I think is terrible, and one other team that wasn't even that good. I was like, what? How do you justify this?
Sam Houston.
Yeah, and they are. I said they were an FCS school. They are a new FBS team, but not a good one. It didn't make any sense, but I will say this about Vegas, Vic, and you know this all too well, is they may make a mistake, but they won't do it 2 weeks in a row.
Right.
CU will be, they got Arizona coming to town. It looked pretty good against Utah last night in their win.
There was a weird interaction on the sidelines, and maybe, Coach, you can help explain this, but Cam Newton got waved off both by Shedeur and by Travis. All right, I'll play it one more time. Watch Cam try to interact and.
That's just one shot. That's one shot, DMac. Later on, they were hanging out, talking. There's nothing.
They were
probably just having fun. Oh yeah, there's nothing to it.
I haven't seen that other shot.
Yeah.
The only thing that I thought, and just my own theory of it all, is that Cam's podcast, he gets a little unhinged at times and makes some crazy proclamations. And it's already been proven that Travis Hunter keeps receipts. And Richard Sherman did piss him off with the bland comment. And so he came out, opening warm-ups. He came out with a shirt that said something like, "I'm bland," or just bland in quotes. Travis Hunter is nothing but he is not bland. That he can play football.
We have so much to talk about. It's crazy. Vic's on at 7 a.m. Mike is on at 10, and I'm on there at noon. Quick baseball note. Okay. And I'll see if you guys like this or not. But Chuck, I went to the game on Friday night. I did. Sold out. Unbelievable. Weather was spectacular. The fireworks were immaculate. Shohei Ohtani went 4 for 5 and hit a ball. I don't know. It was a second deck shot. Careful how you say that.
Was that your first time watching him live?
No,
Shohei.
I've seen Shohei before.
I
haven't.
I watched the highlights that night. It looked absolutely incredible.
4 for 5. It was the first pitch of the game, he grounded out to short, but then it's 2 singles, a home run, and a double, and I think the Rockies might have lost by 8 or 9. I don't know. I don't give a shit. Doesn't matter what they lost by because I was totally satisfied. Chuck went 1 for 3 with 2 walks. It's kind of a perfect night. The Rockies did lose, got swept. They lost 5 of their last 6 games. They lost 101 games on the season. Now, I have no idea how a manager keeps his job after losing 100 games in back-to-back seasons.
Well, because they lost 103 last year, so that's an
that's all you got to show. You just got to show improvement. That's in college football, 2-game improvement gets you contract extension.
But here is Spilly with Chuck after.
How's it feeling?
Here we are. I'm happy. I'm sad. I don't have the words.
I think one of the coolest things I've seen was after your base hit, coming off the field, and you just kind of soaked it in. What did that feel like for you? Seeing your parents right there, seeing your sister Katie, knowing all your teammates?
It's been a really incredible week. The Rockies have done so much for me this week. It's really, they've made it easier for me to let the game go. It's been really cool. I've had lots of opportunities to make it my last. So I'm just really thankful.
Okay, gets a single, gets taken off. Do you guys like it? Not like it? What do you think?
I have no qualms with the way they handled that. I thought it would have been hilarious if Chuck had showed up in his last at bat completely shaven.
I do too.
Hair, and just said, you know what, screw it, I'm going out with my face. I think that would have been funny as hell.
Can you imagine he came out fully shorn and had a different walk-up song? Just whatever. Would have been brilliant.
I've never seen the pictures of the before beard. It really was mind-blowing. A, how young he looked, and B, just it's just wild. I think it was a great ending in terms of handling a player that has sacrificed his body. I mean, he is the type of player that consistently put his body on the line for this franchise. He didn't have much to say for it, much to show for it in terms of championships, playoff wins, anything. I think it was a great way to handle it, but I just look at that the scenes there with that beautiful ballpark, even the jerseys, the logo. This franchise just needs to start thinking about winning and doing less with.
Do you know how they lost today? Do you know how they lost today?
No.
Vic, do you know how they lost today?
Yeah, they were up and then come from behind fashion in the 8th inning. The Dodgers scored what? They scored 2 in the 8th?
Oh, do you know specifically how they lost?
Yeah. Not the specifics.
Seth Halverson, who's 24 years old and throws 100 miles an hour every pitch. And I ran into his grandparents, so I feel a little bad talking about this because how many 54 Halversons do you see in the crowd? And so I just went up to him and like, are you related to Seth? And they go, yeah, we're his grandparents. I'm like, way to go, whatever. Seth Halverson, you ready? Runner on third, balked in the winning run.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, look it up. It was in the 8th inning, so they certainly had
101. That's the way he
and he struck out like the next 2 guys because he throws 101 miles an hour. But if you want to talk about a Rockies way to lose, now he wasn't responsible for the first run, nor does he get blamed for the runner on third, right? Like that's the way baseball works. But that being said, that is how the Rockies gave up what ended up being the winning run in the top of the 8th.
When you lose 101 games, that's the perfect way to put a nice little ribbon on top of it. The nice gift to everybody that is Rockies baseball. Here we are.
Hey, producer DMac, these are supposed to be 30-minute wrap-up shows on Sunday night.
Are we done?
We're at 43 and counting. I just want you to know I'm making note of that.
But the ratings are way up, right? The ratings they're sky high. DMac, what are the ratings right now? Give me the ratings.
We got 36.68. The numbers go up. You realize every time we sign off, I feel like a dick. Every time we sign off, we literally have the most people watching. It's like, how many people can we get to? And then, fuck off. We'll see you later. But that's where we're at yet again. But with that, Vic obviously has something more important to do. The Ravens have a lead on the Bills as we speak.
What's the score?
They're in a replay right now. That was definitely.
I always ask right when they're in a replay every time we do this. Hey, can I give 2 quick shout outs? Number 1 shout out is to you, DMac, for producing with all the videos. I was a bit snippy because I I had a point that I wanted to make, so that's why I said that you were on a video rampage. I didn't mean it. I apologize. And then I want to give a big shout out to Vic Lombardi, who I got to share the broadcast booth with this weekend, and he was absolutely phenomenal calling.
So were you, my friend. That was fun.
I had a lot of fun with Vic, man. We turned into two old men. We stood the first half in its entirety, tons of energy. Second half we're just sitting down, just kind of calling it, But we were better in the second half, Vic. Sitting down, I really think we were better.
DMac, just so you know, half the time I don't know who had the ball because I couldn't tell from the numbers and the way the numbers were on the. And poor coach is like, it's 14-7, and I'm having to look at my sheet going, who the hell has the ball? So thank you, coach.
Who prepares your sheet for a high school football game?
I prepared my own, but I showed up to the game.
How?
We have production meetings.
I looked at the roster and we had a production meeting for the 2 deep, but I show up at the game Friday night, and here's the difference between old and young. I got this handwritten piece of crap sheet, and coach has a computer printed perfect everything on there. I mean, I was like, what is that? And he's
wow.
Like, thank you.
Yeah, so I brought two copies. Vic had unbelievable notes prepared. Like, he was prepared. It was all handwritten. It was gorgeous. And I did print too, not to try to be like hey, you want one of these guy? This is pretty sexy.
Well, thank you.
But it worked out really well. And it was a lot of fun, man. I really enjoyed doing that and getting it. I know we talk about it. It's like a community outreach to do high school games. I've had so much fun doing it. It's been so much. I feel like I know this area way better because I am a relative newcomer to the state of Colorado. It's been
By the way, in the time that Vic whined about being on too long, we've gained 100 more viewers. So for whatever it's worth. And the Ravens just fumbled in the end zone, but I think like an offensive lineman. Oh no, that's Ricard. He picked it up, so that's going to be a touchdown for the Ravens. So it was fumbled in the end zone. Wait, can you score like that? Can you?
I thought you couldn't advance it.
Sure. Can you advance a no, but can you advance a fumble? You can't advance a fumble, can you?
I didn't think you could in the NFL. College, you definitely can.
It depends. Where did he fumble it? Outside
1 yard line. Outside the
right
end zone.
On the goal line. Okay.
1 yard line. Then at 1 yard line and went into the end zone.
Gotcha.
I don't know. Well, we'll find out soon. Okay, listen, we'll hear you in the morning, Vic. Mike, 10 o'clock, me at noon. And yeah, thanks to everybody watching. We deeply appreciate it. And we'll be back with Altitude After Dark on Thursday. And man, what a difference 2 weeks make. Both teams seem to be spiraling after the Nebraska loss and after the loss to the Steelers. And it's a whole new year. It's a whole new year for both teams, which is just freaking awesome. And you have the Nuggets on the road to Abu Dhabi. Like, are they getting on a plane tonight, Vic? I think they are, right?
Tomorrow night. Tomorrow night at midnight.
Tomorrow night.
How much?
Sorry, what? Wait, tomorrow night at midnight they get on the plane?
It's a 17-hour flight, straight shot.
Wow. And you were with the Nuggets over the weekend, too. Anything, before we sign off, anything to report there?
I love the acquisition of Russell Westbrook. He is going to bring a mean, tough guy demeanor that this team desperately needs. He's going to hold players accountable. It can't be the coach all the time. It's got to be players, and he's going to hold guys accountable, and they need that.
Okay. All right. We'll see you all tomorrow. Great win. Great weekend. We love you guys. We'll talk to you then. See you.
See you, boys.